two. I know. Yeah, you just got to speak right into it. Right, well, all right, welcome everybody. I forgot I'm the cameraman too. I got that one on over there. Thanks everybody for coming in. We're running the U.S. Women's Disc Championships in Manitowoc, Wisconsin. We are so proud to have these women here competing for the national title for U.S. Women's Champion. We have 337 players ready to play. We start playing on Thursday and Friday. The pros will be at Rolling Ridge. Saturday and Sunday they'll be at Silver Creek Park. So we welcome people to come and watch the competition. Today what we're doing is we're just going to give us a chance to ask them a few questions. So I'm going to pass the mic. Hopefully my Bluetooth works so that we can get these questions in, and the ladies are going to answer a few questions for you. And then we're going to share some dinner and some beer and some really good music. So we've got a lady coming up at 5 o'clock to play, and she plays until 8, and the food trucks are going until 8. So thank you all for attending. And I want to tell you that it's my daughter's birthday today. Anna's 35th birthday. How about that? And I had a party just for her birthday.
Thanks for coming, everyone.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Ayla. Happy birthday to you.
Just to get the format figured out, I'm gonna start on him, and I'm gonna say, Ella, how did you get into disc golf?
I played Ultimate Frisbee for a really long time, so I started playing Ultimate. The first time I threw a disc was in 6th grade, and I thought disc golf was dumb. And in 2018, I was working as a camera operator for an Ultimate broadcasting company, and we got a contract to film USDGC. And so I stood on a little temporary platform on hole 17 for the whole weekend and filmed every single shot. Filmed Paige playing that event, and I filmed Paul Uliberry got an ace. It was pretty fun. And then in end of 2019 was the first time I ever threw a disc golf disc. Also, kind of from being in broadcast, the other people I was working with were like, "We're gonna go play disc golf," and I was like, "All right, well, I guess I either get to sit in the car or I go play disc golf." And then I started playing way more, and then 2020 started playing pretty seriously because I couldn't play Ultimate for that season, and then that's kind of how it all happened. Are you just going down the line? Sure.
I don't know who wants to answer this, but if anybody feels compelled to answer this, how do you guys regain your mental when you're having a tough round?
I think it's for me. It's like bigger picture, because I feel so fortunate to be able to do this for my job. So for me personally, I always feel like there's more opportunities. If one shot's not going to be the end of the world, or one round, it's fine. I'm out here throwing discs and having fun, and just kind of keeping that perspective, and knowing that it could always be worse. We could be doing a lot worse things, or things could be happening that are a lot worse. So just staying gracious and loving the experience that you're able to have off.
Anybody else?
And what is your favorite disc golf memory?
For me, I think finally getting that first win back in 2021, it felt like I had been working so hard, and just sort of be able to put it all together and finally find that sort of success on the professional level. That in Des Moines, that'll be one of the best memories I think I have in my career so far.
I haven't been playing as long as Missy or Paige, and it kind of ties into the mental question, but one of my favorite memories is actually at the fort in Utah the week before Worlds. I had just happened to be there, and it was like, what do you mean you're leaving? And I was like, well, the tournament's over, the World is next week. And I was like, I don't know what that is. But that, I was just there. But I remember throwing my first ever forehand approach shot, and didn't know who to look at, but I was really proud of myself. And I was like, man, that might have looked normal to everybody else, but I immediately texted people at home, and I was like, you guys, I just used a forehand in the tournament. And just remembering, not playing that long, but there's always new things that you can check off. For oh, that's the first time I ever did that, or that's your first top 5 finish, or that's your first win, or whatever. But it can be as small as, hey, I laid up. I never lay up. You were really smart and you took a par instead of a triple bogey, and I'm like, I'm really proud of me for that. So yeah, my first ever forehand in Utah is one of my favorite memories.
I have quite a few. I think a lot of them have to do with just the camaraderie. I mean, these four are some of my best friends on tour, and so we have a lot of fun times together. But I think I'll say for now, a couple of years ago, Raven and I and my friend Corey were out in the desert in California, and I wanted to see if I could try to break the distance world record, and hitting the world's longest throw from a woman was pretty cool. That was fun. Hopefully it will be official at some point.
I think for me it has to be last year's Beaver State Fling. Getting that putt on 18 to push a playoff, because that whole day just wasn't going great for me, and normally up until that point I would kind of spiral and just have kind of a bad day, but learning from all of that, times getting close and actually giving myself an opportunity and then to actually break through was really cool.
That was my biggest FOMO moment, not being there. That was epic watching that. Oh, my favorite disc golf moment. That's tough. Favorite of anything is super tough. One that wasn't mine, James's holy shot. I mean, there's just nothing like it. Nothing. It was crazy, the stillness in the air. Everyone there knew it was gonna happen somehow. I can't describe it. It was just the most quiet it had ever been. But mine, I'll just go my most favorite of recent memory was my throw-in at Champions Cup this year. The hole before that, I had just took a 5. I 4-putted, and I had just got the box, and it was the hole I was the most nervous about of the whole event. And I made the gap, and I didn't even know where my disc went. As soon as I made the gap, I was just celebrating, yes, I freaking made that gap. It's such an easy gap, but it was in my head. And then I proceeded to 4-putt, and got a little too excited too quick maybe, and took a 5 and really let all that momentum go. And then I looked at the tee sign on the next hole. I was really, really, frustrated, upset. Just every negative emotion you could think of was running through my body, just adrenaline. And I looked at the tee sign and saw that it was only hole 10, and I kind of pep talked myself of wow, it's hole 10. I can do this. I can still do this. I just gotta buckle down here and get this birdie. And I threw a good tee shot, and then looking at my second shot, and it's windy, but it's, I won't go through all of it, but yeah, throwing that shot in and getting the eagle, it was just like, holy cow, like, never give up, you know, just like, you know, we all know Missy went on to win, but, you know, I was so proud of myself that I just, like, had a chance, you know, after what I just thought was, like, you know, amateur, like, my very first tournament, what I would have done, 4-putt, and then I was like, okay, I can do it. So that was my favorite of recent memory for sure. But it's really cool that we can't even think of that because disc golf just provides you with so many ups and downs and highs and lows, and it's just a beautiful sport because of that.
I'm just wondering, when did you guys have a moment when you realized that this sport can you do professionally or is it gradual?
Yeah, so she was asking, was there a specific moment or was it kind of gradual when we knew it would be a career? For me, I played my first national tour, which was what a DGPT is now, in 2010. And it was at the Beer State Fling, and I was one stroke ahead going into hole 16. I jump putted, hit the tree right in front of me, rolled behind me, and I got a bogey and ended up losing by 1. But I was a kid straight out of high school. I had never like taken it seriously or like practiced, I would say. So coming up one shot short on my first like big event, that's when I knew like, okay, I can really do this, and you know, I'm gonna start practicing and get a work ethic and really go all in, and that's the moment for me.
Yeah, I kind of insisted I wasn't gonna tour for a really long time. Up until like a week before I quit my job and just went for it. Yeah, it was just kind of a culmination of things. I was living in California at the time and had gotten my first couple of 8-tier wins. I'd gotten my rating up to about 930 and had cashed at some pro tour events. And we were deciding to move back home to Texas, and so I was going to be quitting my job anyway. And I just found out my heart wasn't in the job search because I kind of knew in the back of my head that I could do something with disc golf. And so for me, it was when I like kind of ran the numbers and budget and everything, got my spreadsheet out basically, and realized like, oh, I've got money saved up, like we could do this for a year, and like, you know, it's very out of character for me to do something kind of that risky. But you know, once I decided to just send it, it was kind of crazy how like not anxious about it I felt, and it all worked out, and here we are.
For me, I went on tour in the middle of 2018. But before that, you know, I was working full-time in Colorado as a project manager for a tech company, and yeah, I had been playing so much every single weekend. I just really loved it, and I was dealing with some anxiety in those years, and I realized that every time I was on the course, it was actually making me feel a lot better, and I loved it. And so it was just sort of a leap of faith that my husband Tom and I, we just said, hey, let's try it out. Let's see what happens for 6 months. And we could have never dreamed of it turning into what it did. And, you know, that was kind of pre-COVID, and, you know, there still wasn't like a ton of money in the sport. So we were just going for it to see what happens, and we could, and like I said, could have never imagined where it got us, and how the sport has grown so much. And it's just such an amazing thing to be able to reflect on and see just how great everything has turned out. And yeah, to see all of these people here every time we come to US Women's, and just see how many more women are joining the sport is just a nice reminder of just looking back at when I made that decision to just try it out, just go to a big event, just see what happens. And yeah, it was one of the best decisions of my life.
I think I figured out that it could work about halfway through my second season on tour. I did not pull out any spreadsheets like Holland. I was very much, someone else brought it up to me, and they're like, have you ever thought about this? And I said, didn't even know it existed a couple years ago. And I didn't have anything tying me down in Minnesota. I was working at a gluten-free bakery,
in the warehouse. I was moving stuff in and out of the freezer. And I was like, well, I don't really care about the job that much. I didn't have a relationship at home. And I was like, might as well just buy a van and go try that. And I did. And the first year was incredibly hard. My goal was not to get last. I didn't. It was great. Actually, thinking about it, someone had asked me, and I had a ton of injuries in the first year, but I remember it so fondly. I'm like, yeah, the first year was great. I'm like, oh, that's right. But then that happened, and Ella gave me a concussion, and like all these different things had happened. And I still think about it so fondly. And then the second year, about halfway through, I was like, oh yeah, I think you can continue to do this. I had enough of the savings. I didn't look at it. I just kind of guesstimated, but I was like, it's fine. I'm peanut butter sandwiches, make it work. And then things kind of fell into place. But I'd been playing for less than a year before I played my first pro event, and then went on tour the following season. So I didn't know anything, and I feel like it took 3 seasons to learn the game and figure it out. So I felt if I had quit before then, I never would have figured it out, and I think I'm still getting to that peak potential by having jumped into the professional game so early in me finding the sport. And I love it, and obviously I've got fantastic people around me, and I still don't know what I'm going to do with it, but here I am, and I'm loving every second of it. So.
Okay, so first of all, we can run the tape if anyone wants to see. There's video of this concussion. It was my knee, but it wasn't really my fault. So, shared responsibility.
How did it happen?
It was spike
We were
ball.
playing spike ball, Raven dove, and then I was trying to jump out of her way, and she tried to go for it, and head went straight into the knee, and it was bad. Anyway, for me, I had always dreamed of being a professional athlete. As a kid, I was obsessed with baseball, and I always dreamed of being the first woman to ever play in the MLB. And then I played Ultimate for a long time. I played at a pretty high level, played on the national team for the U.S., but there's not really any money in that sport. In fact, you are paying a lot of money just to play. And yeah, when I started playing disc golf, my first pro tournament was Vegas in 2021, and my friend Zoe lived in Eugene. She was the first pro I'd ever met, and she actually got me playing on a practice round with Paige, and I remember like being so nervous, and Paige, like, I could just kind of tell that like she could see some potential in me, and she had me throw one of her discs to just see how I would throw it, and I threw it, I think, pretty decent. And so I just kind of, the fact that she wanted me to throw her disc and to see how it would fly kind of made me feel, like there was potential there, and ended up taking third at U.S. Women's a few months later that year, which to this day is my best finish at a major. But yeah, it was that was really the moment, like getting to play with Paige and sort of like feeling like I could be part of the community, and I could see the potential that I had. And that I actually, Colin and I were on our first ever Pro Tour card. We played together at Vegas in 2021, which was pretty fun. But yeah, that's how I got into the sport.
I have a question. My name is Scott. This is for Paige. So you've been playing since 2010. You've had the opportunity to see the last 15 years, the generational changes in the last 15 years of competition on the pro level. Paige here doing the Super Tours, the National Tours, the DVPTs. What have those changes been like? Kind of seeing where you were at 2010 to what you see now in 2025.
Oh man, that could take the whole panel. I think the most striking difference to me, obviously the amount of people coming to even things like this, but the tournaments, there's sushi at tournaments, like what the heck? It's crazy. Like we have live scoring, there's a million ways we could take it, but I would say the most striking thing for me is the amount of players in the mix all the time and the amount of shots that you see thrown. I mean, when I was coming up, it was pretty much, you didn't even really have to check your tee time. You kind of knew, okay, I'm going to be playing with Val, Sarah Hokum, and Katrina Allen. And pretty much, right? And Sarah, we know, is the sidearm dominant player, but for the most part, we were all backhand, every hole, backhand, hyzer. Well, now, I mean, like, we'll walk up to a hole and all 5 of us are going to throw a different shot. And it's just one of my favorite things is to, you know, of course, I'm trying my best to stay in my own zone when I'm playing a tournament, but you can't help but like see the creativity in your card mates and how each one of us attacks the hole so differently. And I think that is one of the coolest things, you know, about our sport in comparison to any other sport. We are so much more diverse and creative and unique in the shot shapes, and I think that is like, it's just a testament of like, do it your way, and your way is going to be good for you, and it might not. If I try to throw a spike hyzer sidearm like Ella, it's not going to go well for me. But she's got it, you know, and it's just like reminds you to stick to your game, stick to what you know, celebrate that. But that's probably not the best thing to do it. It's just really cool to see the creativity and the expansiveness in like the shot shapes. I really think it's just, even the commentators, they've watched 100 million tournaments, but they even don't know what we're about to do. So I think it keeps you on your toes and keeps you guessing, and that's the most fun for me.
Any questions?
How many hours do you play or practice in the off season?
Yeah, I think, like Scott said, I've been playing since 2010, so I've tried a lot of different approaches. Some years I've tried to not touch a disc, you know, until January, and then, you know, get this breath of fresh air kind of thing. Sometimes I'm like, I'm playing every single day. I've got to be better than last year. This last year, I feel like I played maybe 5 times a week, but I would try not to practice. I'm just getting my reps in. I'm going to play with locals, friends of mine, and like get reps in, but I'm not putting pressure on it of this is my practice. I would say, like, slightly off topic, but it is on practice. Like, my number one tip and something that's worked for me is when I'm playing a practice round, I'm playing the course, but I'm not like, I don't know what I shot, what score I took. 0% of the time do I know what I shot. I don't finish out holes on purpose because I feel like it puts expectations in my head. And then if I get a 6 on the hole and I 3'd it every round in practice, now I'm really frustrated when I don't need to be. So 0% of the time do I ever keep score. And I still play the course and see what disc I want to throw off that tee pad, but I don't putt out from where my disc landed. If I landed here, I'll go take my disc over there and putt from over there, just because that's what I've found works the best for me. But I would say this season, at least, I probably played 5 rounds a week. But yeah, not with the intention of like, I need to go practice. You know, it's just, for me, that makes it to where I'm not having fun and I'm not enjoying it, and I don't want that, you know?
So does that mean that you stay local then? Like, do you stay where you live and you do practice rounds in that community, or are you talking about you may travel still in the off season and play with friends?
I would say for the most part, I stay pretty local. Just we're traveling all year long, and it's like, there's a little bit of travel, of course, but for the most part, yeah, local. And yeah, like I said, I'm going to the course, but I'm not playing that course.
So I live in Minnesota in the off season, so my practice looks a lot different than other players. And our season is so long compared to a lot of other professional sports. So by the time you get home, especially if people go and play somewhere in January, like people who go down to New Zealand, you have a month and a half as an off season, which is not a long time. So for me, when I get home, I try and force myself for like 2 weeks
not to do anything disc golf related. Also, I usually get sick the moment I get home. My body's like, oh, you're done on the road? Okay, well, here, get the flu. So I try and rest, I try to let that happen. But I'll start going to the gym immediately. So in the off season, I put a lot more focus, not just on the disc golf, but me as a person. So for me, that includes my soul. So I do a lot of creative things, and I try and paint, and I try and make things, because that is also who I am. I am not the disc golfer Raven. I am Raven, and I disc golf. So I try and put focus on that in the off season, go to the gym, get stronger, and then I have a net set up in my garage with a Mr. Heater space heater, and that is where I will get my throws in and practice certain form things, and I can get up to about a 30-foot putt inside, but then I do go play out in the snow with like my roommates and friends, and I don't consider that the same type of practice. If you've ever played winter golf, it's a different game. So it's very fun, it's a good challenge, but it's not the same type of practice that you would do for the tour. It's a lot of standstills, it's a lot of things like that. You know, you're wearing 15 layers and mittens and all sorts of things. So most of my focus is just on me as a person, and then I'll usually go to whatever event maybe 3 weeks before the tour starts, and I go, all right, you got 3 weeks to take the new strength or the new form you've worked on and put it in a field, and I just do that every single day for those 2.5 weeks in the warmer weather and hope that it goes well.
Yeah, I would say kind of a similar approach to Raven. Yeah, the off season is always shorter than you kind of expect it to be or want it to be. The season start always creeps up, and yeah, the season is very long, like pushing 9 months of the year, right? So that's a lot of wear and tear on the body. So I would say, yeah, pretty similar. I don't know that I'm quite as like, okay, 2 weeks off, but I usually am, yeah, take a little bit of time off. And I, yeah, definitely doing a lot of physical training in the gym, multiple times a week. And then I'm in Seattle in the off season, so it's you can be outside, but sometimes it's not that fun because it's wet. But yeah, I would say I'm probably playing a course like 2 to 3 times a week, but practice putting, throwing into a net, things like that. And yeah, I think kind of same with what Raven said, like it's important to sort of feed all the different parts of who you are as a person and as a player. And of course, like, I think for me, it kind of depends on like how you're feeling about your form as well. If there's certain things you want to work on that are really form specific, then I'll tend to do some more field work, more net throwing, more putting, things like that. But it's kind of dependent on where I'm feeling good, where I'm feeling like I'm lacking, things like that. And then I also like doing creative things, but for me that's usually building things rather than painting. But yeah, I love doing that. It's nice to just have a little bit of a mental shift, mental break, and be able to, you know, like, even though it's cool that we're traveling all the time, it is also pretty tiring, so it's nice to just enjoy some time at home and just focus on a couple other things for a while.
I'll keep mine short. I don't play at all. Maybe until January. Yeah, no, I mean, I have my basket set up in the backyard. My dog loves playing disc golf, so that's really the only reason I want to go out to the course when it's the off season. But other than that, I love, again, diving into my other hobbies. I find myself cooking a lot and baking and doing all the homemakery stuff, you know, things that maybe I don't get to do as much on the road. So yeah, just trying to enjoy other parts of life. That's mostly what I do.
Yeah, I plan my off season out pretty meticulously. I do take a little bit of time off when I first get home, and then I'll kind of look at, you know, what improvements do I want to make and in what amount of time can I do that. But usually it'll look something like early in the off season, it'll be like form changes, throwing into the net, stuff like that. And then I'll go into more like shots, like working on specific stock shots, working on maybe some shot shapes I would like to be better at throwing. And I have my own course in the off season that I designed and built, so I'll practice there. Yeah, so I'm pretty fortunate there, but that'll look like I'll take, 20 of one disc out and just throw 80 of one shot, and then I'll go do that again with it. Yeah, and then towards the end of the off season, I'll start more like tournament-like stuff. So I'll play like a loop of 6 holes, and I'll try to make it as like tournament-like as possible. And then also lifting about 5 days a week in there. Yeah.
So there's no real formula how to
I think that's a good point, because like I think if Paige or Missy tried to do my method, it would drive me nuts. But yeah, and vice versa. So I think it's just kind of having to know yourself and what works. Because
I guess going on tour continues to improve your
Questions?
What piece of your game are you the proudest of? This is for anybody. It doesn't have to be what you're best at. It can be like what you feel like you're working hard on to get good at, and then you're just really proud of.
I would say my forehand, I was known when I played Ultimate as a very powerful thrower, especially forehands. And then when I started playing disc golf, it was a lot easier to sort of transition to throwing backhands semi-decently, but still nose up, which we worked on over the years. But I felt like my forehand was something that I really wanted to be good at for a while, and that one came a little much less naturally to me than throwing a backhand, and I think it's a really important staple of my game now. And I'm really proud of how I'm able to throw that now.
I'm probably most proud of my mental game. The physical stuff is still coming along, but I feel like no matter how my round is going, I do a pretty good job of just being there. There have been times where by the end of the round, it gets to you. People might not be able to tell, and then I'll just go have, separate myself like 10 minutes after the round and maybe feel emotions that I wasn't feeling during it. But my friend in the beginning of disc golf always told me, have fun and throw good shots. Don't throw good shots to have fun. And that's always something I try and remind myself. And I just feel like I do a very good job of staying in the moment, even when things are frustrating, because there's always more golf, there's always the next shot. And then running putts from like 90 feet, that would be my other one.
Probably along the same lines. I think there's a reason why a lot of women looked at me when there was a question about the mental side of the game. But I also think that part of that, to go along with that, is that, like Paige was saying, seeing all the different types of shots that we might all throw and have different ideas of what's going to find us success. I think that that's something that I've also I'm really proud of, because I'll be playing with Paige, playing with all of these women who are going to maybe throw a mid-range when I'm like, I'm throwing 12 speed, and it's okay. It's something that I think is, you got to get over. You can't think about, again, what other people are doing. It's whatever's going to find you success, and I think that I've done a really good job of settling into what my game is and sticking to it and not feeling bad about it. Just following my own path and getting it done my own way.
Yeah, I think for me it's been like course management. When I first started playing, I kind of just wanted to throw whatever the cool shot was, and I could throw so many different kinds of shots that I felt like I should. But that meant I had a lot of really high highs, a lot of really low lows, and like my first few years on tour, I would have really good, driving stats, but my OD rate was one of the worst. Because I would just try too hard and check an OD when I got a little bit nervous. And so being really honest with myself about like, okay, these are the 4 shots I'm really good at, I should just stick with these, has been the biggest difference maker. And proud to say I'm currently #1 in OB rate.
I think for me, maybe I would say my scramble game, and that's kind of partially in the mental game as well. I think like no matter where I land, I feel like I can get up and down, and that's partially mental. Yeah, somebody once told me that, you know, okay, bad shot, that just sets you up for a hero shot on the next one, and just like, you know, knowing, you know, you can still save par. Like, par is still in play. Maybe you don't have a chance for birdie anymore, but you can still par it. And so I feel like just having all the different types of angles, and I think my most, like you said, proud, I think is what you said. And I feel like I feel a lot of pride when I throw an Anheuser, especially with old Ella down here who loves to give me a good hard time when it's a sidearm hole. And then I throw a sick Annie, and I'm like, take that, Ella. Yeah, that's where I feel the most pride, I would say. If somebody tells me it's a sidearm hole, I'm going to throw it back in Annie, and I'm going to be confident.
If you too are a sidearm thrower and you have friends who only throw backhands and you want to sort of goad them into throwing a really good shot, I would suggest saying it's a sidearm hole and then they'll throw a really good shot. Try to show you up. It's pretty cool.
I think this is one of the coolest weeks of the year just because we're able to celebrate women's disc golf and how much it's grown. What are some ways that you see that we can keep continuing to grow the women's side of the game?
Yeah, go to our clinics. Yeah, me and Hall have been doing clinics. That's been super fun women's clinics around the country. And I think one of the really important things we see around is we get a lot of people to show up, and a lot of them don't really know each other. So I think creating like a nice sustainable leagues or just groups that play together, I think is really important. And it kind of helps lower the bar. I think a lot of women who play maybe learn from their boyfriend or their husband or their partner or whoever, and tend to just play with a lot of guys all the time. And I think it, you know, just having a good women's community can really help a lot. And I think just trying to find like women who play in your area and just making it a point to play with other women, even if it's just a casual round or if it's an organized league or tournaments, things like that. I think that more women will show up than you think if you organize a women's event, and I think it'd be exciting.
There's probably a slightly nicer way. I'm fairly aggressive about it. When I see women on a course at home and it's them with a group of guys, I'll yell across to her, or I'll just, like, if I see someone just carrying a bag for their partner, I always joke and I'm like, oh, he's just not playing, and he'll look at me and be like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, she's the one with the bag, you know. I just like to yell at women and be like, oh, hey, that's great. Do you play? I just yell at people. No. Minnesota saw some really good success. When I started, there was nobody, but they really picked it up when I left. They started just like a group on Facebook where they do a league, but it's not a paid league, it is not a scored league, it is just a chance to play with other women, and you would be surprised how much steam that can actually pick up. And they'll just post every week, and they pick a course in the Twin Cities. We're very fortunate to have a lot of courses in the Twin Cities, but just finding women who are nervous, because that I feel like is the biggest thing, is that they're like, oh, I don't know anybody, I don't want to play, he's the only one to play with, or so just reaching out. If you see someone on a course, introduce yourself. Say, hey, I live in the area and I play. If you ever want to play around, here's my phone number, here's my Instagram, here's something. That one thing can be a catalyst for them to do the same thing, and before you know it, you can have a lot of women playing in the area. And I think that just communicating is huge for growing the sport for women.
I'm going to kind of go on the other side of things. I more so like a call to action to all of the men out there that see that there are a lot of women that want to get into the sport. And I had a really great experience with my local clubs. Shout out Long Monsters in Longmont, Colorado. Yeah. So inviting, never made me feel like, oh, you're a girl. Like, I had such a great experience when I was learning how to play, because those guys were just so amazing and so inclusive. And so yeah, I just encourage all of you guys out there to be like that, because it's only gonna help grow the women's side. And now I look and I see all of these women's leagues in Colorado that weren't there before. I'm so proud of to say that I'm from that area in Colorado, and they've just done such a great job at encouraging all of the women to just go for it and form your own clubs if you want, but also like come play with us too. It's such an inclusive community, and so yeah, I just encourage every community to try to be like that. And and then I might I was playing in the AM men's league, and I ended up taking third. So that could happen too. But anyway, it's great. Just be encouraging everybody, and we'll all succeed in the end.
Yeah, I don't know if I have a whole lot to add to that, but a note on our clinics, it's crazy how many, we'll get like 30 women out there and they'll be like, yeah, we didn't even know that this number of people in the area played, and like they'll swap numbers, and that's like the way bigger impact than even any of the information you give at those clinics. So I think that, and then to echo what Raven said, when I lived in California, there weren't a lot of women who played, but there was this one couple who got like a Sunday like women's thing going where again like didn't keep score, wasn't paid, they just got together, and then every time they would see women out like with their boyfriends not playing, they would give them a disc and invite them to our league and teach them how to play. So I think just creating spaces for to come out. You don't have to be good, you just have to have fun. It's really the best thing you can do.
I have two different answers. This question gets asked a lot actually, and I think about it often. My first thought is like